Hey, Romeo Gaze from San Francisco, California. Hey! Can you believe it? I can't. This first song's about somebody that makes you feel just like and like how can you really like
This is Mark Kaiser, the illustrious.
The illustrious, that's good. All right.
Adam Cimino, Esquire, and I'm Matt Jones. And I play guitar and sing in Male Gaze. He plays drums, sings occasionally in Male Gaze, and he plays bass in Male Gaze. And then Mark runs Mount St. Mountain record label, and I help run Castle Face Records as well. And Adam is falling down on the record label department.
I don't have a record label.
He doesn't have a record label, no tape labels, none of that.
I would like a record label.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to
start
hassle.
one. Should start when we could really be upset every time we meet up.
We'd each need an hour alone in the hotel to
It's
bitch
true.
and complain and get work done.
I've been trying to find a fainting couch since we've been here, and I mean, you just don't make them like you used to, I guess.
Well, it's been the three of us, but these guys have a little harder time touring than I do, and so I've done a couple of tours. I like to call them B-team tours. Yeah, like the tour I was just on in the ill-fated East Coast tour. The Beast Coast tour was with a couple of buddies of mine, Jim from the band Sunwatchers, which is great, and Alejandro from Running, Chicago's finest noise rock institution. I did a tour with two other guys in the Midwest, Shiraz, who is in the really pretty fantastic Maps and Atlases, and John from Ribbonhead.
Yeah, I've done a couple of B-team tours. I had the Muscles from Brussels earlier in July. My man Rodolphe Koster, who's really, he hasn't been in a band in a second, but he does a solo project that's pretty great. And G&T, who was super cool. But yeah, I've done a couple of different B-team sort of things because these guys have a harder time getting away. But it has been us. This is the core of the band, and the sort of the writing core. We had another guitarist for a little bit, but it didn't really work out. So back to basics: guitar sticks, drumsticks. Wait, no, guitar picks, drumsticks. That's the line. Coxbar. I don't know if you know, but they're old buddies. Old Pirates Press family, actually. But yeah, so as far as the legacy of the band, what do you say, Mark?
I'd say we did this about. I had moved back from LA to start working in San Francisco, and Adam had pulled me aside and said he had a practice space and that we should start woodshedding and having some fun.
I had written like a college paper on Mark, actually. They put out a ton of great stuff, and he was in a band called Shove that I was a big fan of, and that was with this other guy I always looked up to for artsy-fartsy stuff. So the two of them growing up was like, oh, Mark and Jay are like the cool guys, right? So, yeah, so I just always bugged him, always, like, picked up his discography and stuff like that. And then Matt, I used to serve coffee to when I was in college, up in Northern California in Sonoma, and so
Santa Rosa.
Yeah, Santa Rosa. I hadn't really seen Matt in years.
Right.
He helped my first band do our first 12-inch on Mark's second label, Mountain St. Mountain.
Right.
So my old band was the first release on Mark's current label, and that's if you pester people you think are cool long enough, then they'll put out your record.
That's how we ended up at Peter Gabriel's studio. Every time I've come within 100 miles, I've been like, take me to his studio. Please, I want to go.
So when I heard Mark was moving back, I was like, I got a practice space. Let's an excuse to hang out, drink beer, and toy around or whatever. And so it's super lucky the day Matt showed up, because he just came with, Mark and I will shred and just have fun and do whatever, but Matt brought like a whole other sense of song structure, and just it elevated it very rapidly, very quickly. He brought.
We hunted him down while his former band, which I actually knew Matt from, aside from Pirates Press, was my old band. Had played its last couple of shows.
Right, with Blasted Canyons.
And we played with Blasted Canyons, so I got to get to know him and the rest of the band actually at this kind of epic show in San Francisco.
That was an epic show. Dwyer set up a couple of shows. There was only really like 3 of them that he set up at this bowling alley called Sarah Bowl, and they were all insane. It was like,
it was a mob scene. I mean,
it was really cool. There were
deal.
like kids like jumping off the pool tables. Like it was nuts. Like
Played.
it was Mayors, us, and Culture Kids. You remember
And Ty
Culture
Siegel.
Kids? Oh yeah, and Ty, of course, and Ty Siegel.
So yeah, we played our last 3 shows with either the OCs, Ty, or you guys.
Oh, and then you did wasn't the Eagle show after that one?
No, we did a house party at the place we played first, but so
anyway, just
we had already
meeting
met
in
and-
legendary circumstances, sort of.
Yeah, and his Blasted Canyons, who I'd been a big fan of, had blown up on a tour or a recording session, and Matt was driving back, posting to Facebook about how mad he was about it. And I was like, we're gonna tap this guy right now. I don't even think he was out of the car by the time we were like, come over to our practice space, just drop your stuff off.
Well, and I'm a compulsive songwriter. They just come whether I like it or not. And so like I had a bunch of shit, a bunch of ideas ready to work on right away. So
Yeah,
it was cool.
it was a quick start. We were up, we had a single and we're recording an LP pretty fast.
Yeah, and we recorded all that stuff there.
Single was on Mark's label, and that was for Cliffs of Madness.
BW Think Twice.
Yeah.
And then I recorded the first LP, which was called Gale Maze, and I feel like I wasn't even talking to John about it. He was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm playing with the band." He was like, "You got those recordings yet?" I was like, "Yeah," and I sent him over. He was like, "Don't let Mark put this out. We have to put it out." So I was like, "Okay, if you really want to." And he's like, "Yeah, I already got the press release written for you. It's cool." Like.
Yeah, that was unexpected. We were looking to just do like a very limited, low-key thing. I mean, that was sort of Adam and I's initial like, let's just pump out some low-run singles and have a cool punk band. And
yeah, and Castle Face
grew
for me,
rather
like
quickly.
it's not really like for me to put shit out. It's more like, helping John with his vision as to what he wants to do with his own stuff, and he always gets really excited about different stuff. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. That'll be cool. I kind of feel like with music, like if you're always working on only your own shit, it gets really stale. And for me, like working on other people's stuff always kind of like reinvigorates it. That's why maybe I seem a little low key right now. It's been a lot of me. I'm like more me in the monitors. I need to hear the guitar more, and then my ears are ringing from too much me. So it's nice to like recharge and like work on other people's shit for a little bit. So. But yeah, I didn't really intend it to be that way, but that's how it all came together.
I don't think I'll pull out this shot.
John Dwyer from the OCs. We run Castle Face Records together. One man wrecking crew. Well, yeah, he's a wunderkind, tour de force.
yeah, there's no other.
It's really, he's a force of nature. It's really difficult. It's really difficult to quantify. Like, but he's like a rock and roll demon. He's put out. We were just counting. He's put out 20 records with the OCs in the last 10 years. He's 20 years in the band, 10 years in the band. He puts out like 2 records. In fact, he's probably texting me during this interview. But Yeah, I mean,
Male gaze,
OCs
California.
went from like being a really like quiet, hushed, kind of like drug quiet, like kind of cracked pop thing that was like really extra quiet. He was in Coach Whips before that, which was like super blown out. You know, I hesitate to call it a blues explosion, but you know, that kind of gets you halfway there. But then OCS started as this really quiet thing, and it slowly evolved until they were like everyone's favorite rock band, and it's kind of where we're at now. They're a double drum juggernaut coming for you. I mean, I've never seen it's cool. Like I've never seen people move so much at shows. Like it's a regular body soup.
Yeah.
Their shows are really
Yeah.
physical affairs.
I think he just brings that out in people. I think the Coach Whips are the
True.
same way. It's
Coach
just-
Whips were insane
You knew you
too.
were running into a crazy party if you were going to go see any show
It's true.
related
you know,
to John.
shoes end up being left behind. You leave with someone else's girlfriend, kind of a show. Like, no, I can't recommend it enough. You know, if you haven't been hit in the face in a while, just like get in there.
That has a pretty big influence on what we've done. Whether, I mean, these guys are a little younger than me, but I mean, I grew up with all of that, and that was definitely an intentional influence.
Butthole Surfers. You're supposed to see them in a tiny club where it's like, you know, they've got like a surgery video on and the drag queens like peeing over there. Like, it's supposed to be like a sensory like overload, I think. I grew up kind of just like, I grew up idolizing Sonic Youth, and they always talked about all those SST bands because their first records were on SST and all that. I didn't really get like Husker Du and Black Flag like firsthand, but I got Sonic Youth pretty close to firsthand and got into Butthole Surfers and shit.
But SST was probably the first label that introduced me to labels, where I was like, oh, a label.
Oh,
I'll buy
a
everything
label
on
as
this.
an idea, yeah.
Pre-sub pop, like, I get it. I'm gonna buy everything on this label. I'm gonna be a completist. Probably
Yeah.
the late '80s, mid to late '80s is when I started to really get into music, and it was very much like that was the first. Even, you know, we're buying like random like acoustic comps and Leaving Trains records. Like nobody wanted any of that. We were like gobbling it up just to hear it. Started getting introduced to digging for old punk records because it was, you know, all those guys were on the comeback trailer on their way out.
Yes, or some like, you know, there's always it opens up the idea, like Real World, for example. Well,
Right.
it's like a collection of things. Like you hate to say curated because everybody overuses it, but that's really the
That's
idea.
what it felt like.
That's the idea.
It felt like a person or a group of people had a vision and they're carrying it through. And if you're on that train, you can get into it pretty easily. Merge and Teen Beat and all those labels in the '90s too. That was kind of the thing. K Records. It was just all like if you saw
Killer
that
Rock Stars.
icon, you knew you were on the right path to something you like. So like,
Yeah.
playing 7-inch roulette in a record store and pulling things out and being like, how my mind blown was always the
I think it's actually roulette.
roulette.
2 T's and an E. Roulette. It's like poulet.
You know we say everything wrong overseas, apparently.
Lesser Demons is funny. The song itself, like, I kind of had the thing for a little while, and I had this horrible girlfriend at the time. She was like, "Why are you playing music like that?" I'm like, "Fuck you." Like, she's like, "No one's gonna like that." I'm like, "Back off." And then like the song, like the lyrics sort of like came from like this gobbledygook sort of like idea where it's just like, oh, just write a bunch of stuff. It doesn't have to rhyme, all this thing. And I sort of just like made it a song through sheer force of will. Like, it was like, oh, what am I gonna do with this? I've had this for a while, like blah blah blah, and like it sort of galvanized it when I remember her saying like, I don't like this new stuff you're working on. I was like, okay. the lyrics, I like wrote this whole like lyrical thing, and I was thinking about like cyborgs and all this shit, and I was like thinking about like basically replicants is what it turned out to be. Like I wrote this whole song and then rewatched Blade Runner. I was like, oh yeah, I just wrote Blade Runner as a song and thought it was a good idea, but I really did. I mean, that's basically it. I didn't intend to do that, but yeah, the riff, like I really wanted to have something like.
We were so pumped when he brought that to practice the first time. That was at our old practice space.
Right.
And we had a show in a buddy's zine shop, Needles and Pens, in San Francisco, like an in-store, playing way too loud in a shop. And that song was like half baked. I remember
all the books fell off the shelf.
We couldn't wait to play it, even though it was baked. So
yeah,
it's definitely got hammered around.
Yeah.
Over the years, I think it's hit its stride.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. Yeah, that's a fun one. It's definitely a fun one. And there's a lot of like subtlety to it too. There's a lot of intertwining of the bass parts and guitar parts and like
guitar
harmonies. I've always tried to kind of stretch the middle out sometimes if it's like a good night. Just like
it was meant to be loose. We were supposed to just feel it.
Keep it loose. Well, the title was the last thing that we came up with for that.
I feel like you were putting the artwork together and you were like, oh, I got a name for the record.
Yeah, no, that's truly it. I wanted to call it Fall Catalog after this guy because I call him Fall Catalog. I was more thinking like autumn record, fall catalog, all this stuff. But it's like sort of, it reminded, that was like kind of in reference to like when you're a young man, as I was at one point, and you know, you're getting like Victoria's Secret catalogs at the house, you know, like peeping through them. So it's like there was kind of that like peeper vibe going on to begin with. And then I was, you know, we kind of had this like sort of visual motif with all this like Greek sort of imagery, and I was like, oh yeah, King Lear, of course, that's what we'll call the record, because Fall Catalog wasn't flying. So, and it seemed appropriate, but it's probably the thing I thought about least on the record.
It's interesting that you bring up the artwork. Our buddy Ryan De La Hoz has done all of our record covers. And
Truly.
It has had an impact on the narrative in some way.
It's true. Yeah, today we got to see Real World Studios, which is sort of a dream of mine. I've been a Peter Gabriel fan as long as I can remember. And like I said, I may have mentioned this earlier, but like every time we've come even close, I've been like, who knows Peter Gabriel? How do I get to Gabriel? I want to get as close as I can. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I appreciate, you know, that we were able to like see that space. I mean, the space is incredible. It's really incredible. It's making me think I got to ride a sledgehammer is what I'm thinking. We were on Marc Riley on BBC 6. I mean, yeah, no, it was really cool. I'm a nerd, you know. I'm always listening to like BBC shit. Like I listen to his shows every once in a while. He's been really cool about like a lot of different Castle Face records we put out. He's been like, oh yeah, let me play one of these tracks. Like he's helped us premiere some stuff. In fact, I think he premiered the first Male Gaze track from this like album cycle. He's a really cool guy. It was our first time meeting him, and yeah, we had a blast. He took us out to see the Flaming Groovies afterwards, which was really cool. I joked that when I'm 80, I hope I have hair like that dude. And yeah, no, he was all around really great guy. I hope he finds my switchblade comb, because that's the last place I saw it. I mean, he doesn't have much hair, but he put to good use.
Agent Orange in the back warehouse of a lumber city in a strip mall, a few blocks from a friend's house when I was 10, and that was probably my first experience with punk. And that was definitely like, oh, this whole DIY thing, and we're doing shows in this place, and it's run by people obviously older than me at the time, but now I look out and they were kids, and that stuck with me. I mean, that's my entire life has been that since the last ridiculous amount of years. So I'd say that's probably been a huge influence. That was my introduction. We always had a friend with a cool older brother who took us. We went on BMX bikes.
Yeah. I would say, well, when I first heard Piper at the Gates of Dawn, I kind of flipped out. I bought as much Paisley as I could find, dropped as much acid as I could find, and, started doing like digital delay experiments that led my punk bandmates to actually break my digital delay pedal with a hammer. That shit was not punk at the time. But that was pretty influential. Yeah, I would say that was a pretty big one. And I mean, I wasn't joking when I said Peter Gabriel's 16 Golden Greats, because like I listen to that almost as obsessively, like always have. So,
growing up in the Bay Area in the 80s, early 90s, there's a lot of metal, tons of like just thrash and metal. Yeah, so I remember digging. I have an older brother, and digging through his collection and finding the first Fugazi single, and just going, wait, what is this? This is not metal. What is this? And that was a game changer. And then Mark's old bandmate Jay made me a mixtape when I was in high school that had like Tortoise and Joan of Arc and all this other stuff on it, Palace Brothers, and that was a game changer too. That mixtape like opened this whole world of indie rock up to me. Got me playing with a 4-track.
I remember asking my parents, "Is this metal?" It's like, I wanted to know what metal was pretty bad. So it sounds cool. Mom, is this metal?